I believe, and I feel, well, I don't like saying feel, I believe that you describe universal man. You don't have to be a Christian to stand for the oppressed.
Yeah.
And that's to do with, again, when I say universal, hence getting to the point of what's the difference between universal law, natural law, man-made law, and the decline of Christianity?
Guys, if you want to move in to hear this conversation,
when the decline of Christianity,
the cameras create this kind of fence around me, right? So
the decline of Christianity, I believe, is when Christianity.
Let me deal with your first point. So your first point, when we talk about the idea of masculinity and standing up for the oppressed, in terms of saying that anyone can do that, even if they're not Christian, that's true. Anyone can do that, even if they're not Christian. But that idea emerges from somewhere. It certainly doesn't emerge from Islam. It certainly doesn't emerge from Hinduism. You could argue, the Sikhs may be able to argue that there is an intrinsic idea to their religion, but certainly for Europeans, the idea has emerged from Christianity. Liberal humanism and the idea of humanitarian ethic is something that emerged from a Christian milieu.
Hence, I said, how does that apply to universal law? Because before Christianity, we can go back thousands of years.
Yeah.
The idea was there.
Where? Name me a group.
Let's go to let's go to Africa, for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the tribalism. Look at the tribes.
So they fought one another.
They fought one another, but within that tribe, within that small community,
they
had laws. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal.
Yeah.
It didn't come from Christianity.
Wait, one second. So the thing is, you were talking about. It could be anyone standing up for humanity.
Yes.
I am saying, as a Christian, the only people that are going to stand up for Christians are other Christians. Like, no one else is standing up for other Christians. Wait, 1 second. But the idea of justice for all, to love your neighbour as you love yourself, is an intrinsic Christian idea.
No.
It's a Judeo-Christian idea.
It's a universal idea.
No, it's not a universal idea.
Because
in Islam, are you a Muslim?
I am Muslim. Yes.
Right. In Islam, I'm a dhimmi, right?
Okay. I did what?
Do you know what a dhimmi is?
No.
Right. This is an intrinsic Islamic concept. As a dhimmi, one of the protected people, right, I'm a second-class citizen under Sharia law. And that means that in Islam, they don't have a concept like loving your neighbor as you love yourself. They have a concept of love other Muslims as you love yourself. And then Christians and Jews are the worst of creatures. They are less than Muslims.
Right.
So loving your neighbor is not an Islamic idea. Show me in the Quran where it teaches that.
Bear with me.
Okay.
I didn't come at you from a Muslim perspective.
Yeah.
And I wasn't attacking Christianity
I
in
know.
the first place. I was coming at you from a universal perspective.
Yes.
Yeah? And you're trying to switch it onto the Islamic perspective. That's not my point.
Are you rejecting Islamic teaching then?
Listen, I have my own ideas because at
Fair
the end
enough.
of the day, I'm going to go into my grave myself. So
Yeah.
I have to worry about myself.
Okay,
I don't care
that's
about
fair.
anybody
That's
else,
totally fair. Yeah, go on.
But I am who you are. You have the same emotions as me.
Yeah.
I prick you, you bleed. The same. So certain things are universal.
Yeah.
So the idea of protecting my family is universal.
Yeah.
Love thy neighbor is universal. Tribalism in the smallest communities,
Yeah.
which have no Christianity, no Islam, way before those ideas of monotheism came out, paganism. Yeah, within those paganism, that environment themselves, people.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye. That's not a Christian idea.
So let me come back to you, because I don't think you're engaging with what I'm saying. The idea of loving your neighbor as yourself cannot be found in most cultures and most religions. It is not a universal human idea. The more universal human idea is you love your own group. You love your own side.
Yes.
You love your own team.
Yes.
It's in Christianity, and in particular, Jesus' interpretation of Jewish law, when he says love, because the Old Testament says love your neighbor as you love yourself, but then Jesus defined the neighbor as someone who wasn't a Jew, defined the neighbor as a Samaritan, and defined the neighbor as the one who's keeping the law as a Samaritan. And so this idea is a Judeo-Christian idea that we have communicated to the world through the Enlightenment, through modernity, through colonialism, through the missionary effort of the church, through modern technology. And people like you have adopted it, and I applaud you for it. But you have adopted a Judeo-Christian idea. There's nothing intrinsic about humanity that has come to this conclusion.
I speak to Muslims, they
Yep.
would disagree with me, or they would have issues with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going into my grave by myself, so I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about anyone. I have to question what people say to me.
Yeah.
I don't take no man's word for it. But okay, all right then. Let me not go without. Let me have your opinion on universal law.
Right.
What is universal law?
So universal law, bro, is where as human beings we have an instinct which aligns with revelation. Like we have an instinct about loving our mother and father, for instance. We have an instinct about loving our siblings. It is this idea of that kind of instinct that is natural within us, right? Now, universal law is this idea that also that we're so in one sense the universal natural law is that which is intrinsically natural to us as human beings. Our mind is structured in such a way that it seeks a moral paradigm. That need for an understanding of right and wrong is something that we're born with genetically. It develops in the brain, and then as part of the brain structure, it develops in the mind, and then we look to fill that structure with some input. And so we learn moral law. We're designed to think morally. So in that sense, there is that sense of natural law. There is also certain natural laws in the sense that it's natural for men and women to procreate. It's unnatural for men and men to have sex. And so there's that aspect of natural law. Self-preservation is an aspect of natural law. But what happens when you start introducing revelation is that the input about that natural structure that we've got in our minds suddenly receives revelation that tells the natural instinct that I should want the good for you that I want for myself.
Yes.
So as a Christian, I can say to you that I want you to be equally under the law. I want you to have the same protections and rights that I do. But as a universalist, right? As a universalist, you can't. What are you going to point to say why you believe that? What's your authority for saying that? For me, it's Judeo-Christian teaching. For you, what are you going to point to?
For me, I don't like labels, yeah?
Right.
I don't want to say, as a Christian or as a Muslim,
Yeah.
I have to love you.
Yeah.
I want to say, as a human being, as I want best for me, I want best for you.
Yeah.
Because I believe what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Whatever you put out, you will attract.
Yeah.
So hence, I want
Okay, no labels, I get that.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, what are you going to appeal to? So I appeal to Jesus' teaching. I appeal to that parable that he tells about the Samaritan, right? In understanding who my neighbour is. But Jesus defines that, and he says anyone who's in need, basically. Anyone who is in need is my neighbour.
Correct, yeah.
Doesn't matter what their religion is, doesn't matter what their ethnicity is.
Yeah.
If they're in need, they're my neighbour, I can love them like myself. The good I want for me is the good I want for them. So for me, I get to that conclusion from Jesus' teaching. My question is, as a universalist, and I accept that you're on the same page as me, that if you saw someone in need, you'd want to help them just because they're a human.
Yeah.
But where are you getting that from?
Believe it or not, from Islam.
Right, show me in Islam where you're getting that
It's
from.
not, listen, I can't think of it. I need to sit down. I have a book where I've researched written a lot of things.
Well, come back with that book because I believe that you've got it wrong.
Fair enough. I will be back another time.
Yeah, come back with that book because I think you got it wrong.
I have a question for you.
Before you move on to your question, and yes, I'll take your question.
Right.
But let me suggest to you that actually you have been more influenced by Christianity than you have by Islam, and that actually has made you a better person.
I would agree with you. And you know what?
Yeah.
Even the devil tells the truth sometimes. So I have to listen to the devil as well. I have to hear what he has to say. So, and it's going to, as I'm going to go into my grave by myself, I have to be sure of what every person says. So even the devil tells the truth sometimes. So I have to listen.
Yeah, Jesus ain't the devil, bro.
No, I don't care. I don't know.
But the point is, Christianity has influenced you, and
I would agree.
And I think that I don't think you should worry about that. I think you should celebrate it, and I think that you should build on it.
I hope it's a never-ending thing. But let me continue. Natural. You've explained natural law. Okay. Man-made law and the decline of Christianity. I believe that it's got to do when Christianity gave its power or joined with the state.
And when do you think that happened?
Maybe 1,000 years ago, or when one of the kings wanted to marry a second wife or whatever. I haven't looked at the history.
Yeah.
But I believe because the state controls.
Are you aware that from the 5th century until the 17th century, the church and the state worked together to form Christian laws?
Okay, let me process that for a second. Okay, all right.
So basically, for over 1,000 years, I think nearly as old as Islam itself, Christians had a Christian state where Christians created Christian laws.
So where did it go wrong?
Right, great question. Where did it go wrong? It went wrong with sectarianism. It went wrong when Christians fought a civil war. So it wasn't that the problem of joining religion to politics was the problem. It was that when the church unity fractured and Christians couldn't agree about the right way to govern the church, not the right way to govern the state, but the right way to govern the church. And then they started fighting about it. And that civil war is where it all started to go wrong for Christians.
When did this happen?
This happened in the Reformation. So it started in the 1600s, finally sort of settled down in the 1700s, and then in the 1700s they separated church and state. And so laws no longer were being made according to Christian principles, or were being influenced by Christianity less and less and less, until we got to the present day.
Okay, so it was better basically from the 5th to the 17th century, you could say, because for Christianity in general. Okay.
And the thing is, as Christians, we're not against the idea of the church governing the state,
right,
or influencing the state.
Yes.
We're not in favour of atheistic governments.
Okay.
We're not in favour of atheistic law. As Christians, we're in favour of theistic law.
Okay.
Now, the way that we do that is different from the madhabs, right?
Okay.
So the madhabs in Usul al-Fiqh, right?
Yeah.
They've got these different disagreements, haven't they, between the Maliki, the Hanafi, the Shafi, and
different school of thought.
Well, it's different school. It's different theorems about how you create law. Jurisprudence. So it's different theories about how you use the resources to create the law.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
That's what Usul al-Fiqh is, right? But the reality is that when you look at Usul al-Fiqh, we Christians practice that state by state, whereas you do it within the Ummah, and you've got these different united madhabs that work within the Ummah.
Correct.
Our equivalent to that is each state practices its own Usul al-Fiqh.
Okay.
And thus each state can create its own Christian laws. And those Christian laws will look very similar, but they will be different. Now, the advantage of that is that homogeneously, every state only follows a single law, a single code of laws. Whereas in the Ummah, because of the madhabs and because of the differences in Usul al-Fiqh, you've got different Muslims following different understandings of different practices of Sharia law, right? And so you have one caliphate where different people are behaving under different codes of law, right?
You say caliphate, but that's okay.
And you also have multiple different caliphates.
Okay, I would disagree with that because I don't know of any caliphates.
All the caliphates are dead now, thanks be to God.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah.
I might agree with some of what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right then.
What's your name, bro?
Hussein.
Hussein, it was lovely to meet you, Hussein.
What's your name?
My name's Bob.
Bob.
Do you have a Bible, Hussein?
No.
I'd like to give you a gift. As a thank you. I always enjoy talking to pleasant people, and you've been very pleasant. So here's my gift to you, Hussein.
Thank you very much,
And
Papa.
yeah, come back with as many questions as you like, and let's talk again.
I promise you I will.
All right, you look after yourself.
Thank you to the president as well.
No worries.
You know what? Would you like to, you know what?
Go on. Yeah, go on. I'm listening. All right.